Watauga County, North Carolina is a purple county in a purple state. Therefore, ground-level politics is bound to cause heated discussion amongst households, and that's what we are here to cover. The policies and decisions that are made by local legislators that impact your everyday life. We will be discussing local high country political happenings, including council meetings, Board of Education, and county commissioner meetings, such as infrastructure, zoning laws, and post-Hurricane Helene relief funding. While the policies passed by the White House hold a lot of weight in the daily lives of residents, local grassroots ground-level politics is where the people's voices can really be heard. The Town Council is always willing to hear public comments on issues impacting communities at public comments. Watauga County's local public servants also respond swiftly to emails with any resident concerns. These meetings can at times be long and tedious to sit through, and everyone may not have the time to watch with work and other commitments. However, we're here to break it all down, the issues that impact you as a local high country resident. Hello everyone, my name is Allison Brown and welcome to the very first episode of Elevated Politics. North Carolina's new governor, Josh Stein, has been busy in his first 100 days, passing policies aimed at helping reeling North Carolina communities. He has signed much legislation in the past month, including establishing a cabinet position aimed at Hurricane Helene relief and providing more funds to small businesses impacted by Hurricane Helene. In total, these efforts from the Stein administration aimed at recovery for Western North Carolina residents totals $1.7 billion. Governor Stein recently discussed his small business recovery efforts at the Boone Chambers. AWN reporters Alice Knapp and Jordan Luker have the story.
I am excited to announce that the state of North Carolina will be putting up $20 million, and Dogwood Trust is going to be adding another $10 million for a new pool of small business grants of $30 million.
Governor Josh Stein came up the mountain to address the people of Western North Carolina. He elaborated on a grant fund meant to help businesses that were still struggling after the effects of Hurricane Helene.
I'm here to announce a public-private partnership that will help address the urgent needs of small businesses in Western North Carolina as they fight to make it through the winter successfully. We need to support them through this uncertain time. Just like they have stepped up for their neighbors, we must step up for them. Because when our small businesses thrive, we all thrive.
This is the resource that we've been asking for, and to be able to do so where small businesses won't be heavily burdened moving forward. They'll have the opportunity to get these funds, and with those funds get some certainty for the first time in a while, and that is going to pay dividends for months to come.
Having as much exposure as we can to the issues that the folks in Western North Carolina are facing, just to keep it in the forefront of everybody's minds, that not to forget about us.
Questions still remain about the future after the February 21st deadline. However, this program is a breath of fresh air for a community still reeling.
Let me say first that more will be needed. Today's $30 million is a positive step, but it is nowhere near enough to meet the needs of Western North Carolina small businesses.
It's really going to take it one step at a time. Every day is a different challenge, so being able to have access to the grant funding would basically put us back into business.
We as a nation have to be here for the long haul to help the people of Western North Carolina. And it does not matter if they're a Democrat, Republican, or unaffiliated voter. It's who they are as a person. They're a North Carolinian, and we have to be able to overcome our political differences to help those folks.
Stein has also continued on former Governor Roy Cooper's commitment to improve North Carolina's infrastructure. Both the Stein and the Trump administrations have put their differences aside, committing to funding the repairing of the I-40 interstate, a major roadway for high country residents to get from Greensboro and Tennessee. The proposed budget for the infrastructure put forth by the Stein administration has allocated $75 million for road and bridge repairs, $25 million for park and greenway restoration, which is a vital part of the high country's tourism industry, and $12 million for debris cleanup. Speaking of debris cleanup initiatives, in a more positive note, Boone has recently cleaned up the last of their hurricane debris in town. Both FEMA and the community pitched in to get dangerous debris off the street and get Boone back in shape for the spring semester.
Fill out a FEMA application, get help with it, go to one of their representatives.
Agriculture is a vital industry here in the high country. Stein's hurricane relief budget allocates funds to help local farmers impacted by Helene as well. It allocated $15 million for uninsured losses, $100 million to clean up debris and make repairs, and a little over $19 million in measures to prevent wildfires, which have become more common as of late. Finally, the governor has announced additional funding to help students financially at Western North Carolina public colleges, including Western Carolina, UNC Asheville, and our very own Appalachian State. $2 million of the relief budget package was dedicated to scholarships and grants to help students financially and deter students from dropping out due to financial hardships. At a recent meeting this month, the Boone Council heard from Apple Cart Director Craig Hughes, who emphasized that Apple Cart is a vital service for all Boone residents, providing more trips per mile than a majority of areas in North Carolina, including major metropolitan areas such as the state's capital of Raleigh. Hughes noted that with Boone's population growing, there is a need for additional funding to acquire more vehicles, hire more drivers, and invest in more green technology, such as Apple Cart's recent transition from gas to electric-powered vehicles. He states that Apple Cart's transit is the greenest public transportation system in North Carolina, and that they are committed to continue the commitment to green energy. Finally, he mentioned that some routes are experiencing overcrowding, further showing a need for more drivers and buses to make a more sufficient system for residents in Boone. Stay tuned. Right after this short break, we will bring on our guest analyst, Thomas Tarter, to discuss the Boone Town Council's recent affordable housing initiatives.
Life is a journey. We're told that there are mountains and valleys before us. A mountaineer trudges through. Where others see an obstacle, a mountaineer sees an opportunity. A mountaineer climbs tomorrow's mountains today. So what is a mountaineer? A mountaineer is you.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Appalachian Weekly News. I'm Jenna Dunning.
And I'm Hunter Boston. We have you covered on all things Ashe, Avery, and Watauga County.
Welcome back to Black at App State TV. I'm your host, Rhea Autry, and we are so happy to have you here with us today.
Bienvenidos a otro episodio Buenos Días Boone. Yo soy Natalia Guiar.
Y yo soy Denise Casales.
Hello and welcome back to another brand new episode of Can't Think Straight. Hello and welcome to this episode of Connected Cultures.
This is Adam Church, live with the Adam Church Band, RFG baby.
Hello and welcome to Religion and Life. I'm your host, Ozzy Ostwald.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of The A Game.
It's a good moment, you know.
Hi, Pixels.
Oh my God, no.
That doesn't sound good at all.
Welcome back, my fellow insomniacs.
Hi, Thomas. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, always a pleasure as always. I mean, I'm really excited to be on the show. I mean, I am our show's very own producer too. I'm excited to bring my passion and knowledge for politics to App TV and to keep our residents informed on local happenings.
That's great. So our first question, how exactly does the Boone Town Council plan to flood-proof homes and businesses that can't be moved to higher elevation?
Well, this was the second part of the first half of a recent retreat that the Boone Town Council had. And basically what they were saying was that was like one of their concerns because their first proposal was to build some homes at higher elevation in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. However, what they have been looking into is basically like giving grants to like some of those businesses around the Walmart area, because as we've seen, the Walmart was completely flooded, and that was kind of part of their affordable housing initiative that they've had to like look into revising, because like now it's kind of a harder sell just to put businesses and homes in somewhere that was completely submerged for a good 3 or 4 months. So they're looking into a lot of grants and stuff, and we haven't gotten specific numbers yet, because usually what happens is they go behind closed doors after meetings and they talk to the auditor and the town attorney and basically try to get like, okay, here's how much these grants and stuff are going to cost. They're looking at some tax write-offs too for these businesses coming in, like Verizon. They're still like operating under a trailer because they haven't been able to get their full business back up and running yet. So they're looking at giving some grants and and tax write-offs and stuff to them. And now in contrast to like the apartments, they're saying like, okay, if we're going to build some affordable housing here, we have to try to work to revise some of the codes, revise some of the some tax stuff, like tax codes and stuff as well, with the county commissioners and with the landlords, because like I said before, it is kind of a hard sell to say to both students and full-time residents, be like, okay, yeah, here's a area that was like very heavily impacted by the hurricane. Now, would you like to live here?
So speaking of affordable housing, what plans did they discuss to lower rent?
Kind of like I said before, just like looking over deregulation, which I found interesting that they're talking about deregulation as a all Democrat affiliated council. They technically are nonpartisan, but if you look at the registration, they are registered Democrats. So that's kind of like what they were saying. I do commend our youngest councilman, Dalton George. He really spoke up at that meeting about basically like, okay, we have to have some good regulations to protect renters. Like, I remember one of the things he introduced after the hurricane was an initiative to prevent landlords from charging students that have been completely displaced from their apartments. So he said, okay, well, we have to have good regulations like that. Well, we have to like really read through our regulatory code to eliminate some of the unnecessary red tape, so that we can get more affordable housing units at a lower cost. He talked about, one of the first things he talked about was building some affordable housing on King Street. And I liked how he mentioned some of the things about how it's convenient with being close to campus, being by restaurants, and all the amenities that come with that, the amphitheater. But my personal thing with that was like yes, they have all the bells and whistles, but a lot of those units are really, really expensive. Like, some of them can go pretty close to a semester's tuition. So I'd like to see him keep those units affordable and convenient at the same time.
Yeah, so now that we're on the topic of affordable housing, so what are the key differences between student housing and residential affordable housing?
So some of the key differences is that the residential affordable housing is going to be, they were looking more in the lines of multifamily homes and townhomes. And we've seen some of local high country communities do this. Blowing Rock are looking into doing this. We're actually going to be talking to the mayor of Blowing Rock pretty soon about his infrastructure projects that he's looking for up there, and they're looking at a lot of affordable townhomes. The one problem with townhomes is that a lot of families, especially families with children, they don't really desire as much to live in a townhome, just because townhomes are really, really small. My aunt actually used to have a townhome, and I remember my mother's first complaint when we went there always was how small it was. So so I mean, it's just the main difference is townhome, which also deals with more state political issues as well, like property tax rates, versus like most students are going to be living in a one-bedroom apartment. So it's about, like, once again, just like looking into some of the regulations on landlords and some of like for our housing units like townhomes, like working with our county commissioners to try to lower property tax rates and homeowner insurance costs to incentivize more people to move to Watauga County.
Thank you so much, Thomas, for coming on. It was really, really great getting to speak to you. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. It's a pleasure, as always.
Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Elevated Politics. We look forward to bringing you insightful discussions every single week. Make sure you tune into our next episode, where we'll be looking into infrastructure projects in Blowing Rock and what they mean for the community. I'm Alison Brown, and we'll see you next time on Elevated Politics.